No gold is not in her. She's a dime.
Welcome to another edition of the $1 Million Peddlers. I'm Papergoy. A recession is coming. I may have to change my name to Paupergoy if it lasts too long. What are you going to do to survive it? We're here today to give you some advice. First off, best advice I can give you, if you've got any sort of capital, buy. I've gotten 2 calls in the past week from dealers who are looking to, actually 3 of them in the last 2 weeks from dealers who are looking to sell things. I went over and I did very well. I bought a lot of stuff. Got some videos coming out that show some of the stuff that we bought. Buy. I know Mr. Magazine has a big buy on Friday. I know another friend of mine just went on a buy today and bought 400 items of paper. So the stuff is out there. Dealers are looking to sell stuff. They need money. So it's a really good time to buy. And there's going to be nothing but more buying opportunities going forward. But one thing, when you do buy, offer less than you usually do. And I'm not telling you that to take advantage of anyone, because I certainly don't think that you should do that. Remember, when we come out of the recession, you're going to have to deal with those people again. And they'll continue to go and pick things up. And as long as you treat them fairly, they're more than willing to continue to get you things. But, as you'll have to explain to them, if you sell me something today for $20 that historically I sell in a month for $50, and now all of a sudden it's going to take me 2 months, 3 months, 4 months to flip it, I can't give you the $20 anymore. I've tied my money up too long. So at that point, I'll offer you $15. And they understand this. They know this. If you give them $20, they actually probably would be fairly surprised. So do lower what you pay. And again, not to take advantage, but because you have to do so. You're tying your money up and you're not certain when you're going to get it back. Always remember, cash is king. So you've got that. And if you do deal with someone who's unreasonable and doesn't want to work with you, be willing to walk away. You don't need the stuff. You've already got other stuff that you can sell. So don't get bullied into paying too much because you feel bad for the guy or you've always paid this or anything like that. It is a business. He knows that. You know that. So treat it as a business. That being said, now you've bought a lot of stuff. How are you going to sell the stuff? Well, there's a couple of different ways to go about it. First off, what sort of thing are you going to end up listing at this point? I don't think people are going to be spending on the higher end items right now. It's scary. I just got an email that said Macy's is temporarily closing up here in upstate New York. We just got a directive from the governor that unless you're an essential business, which is like a grocery store, a hospital, a doctor's office, pharmacy, that sort of thing, if you're not essential, you're supposed to have half of your employees working from home. It's going to be tough. The restaurants are only open now for takeout or delivery. So there's no sit down in restaurants, which means you don't need any wait staff. Those people have all been laid off or sent home. A lot of people are not working right now. And if they've got 2 choices, and the choice is buy that 1964 Newsweek magazine that you have up or feed the kids and put a roof over their head, the vast majority are going to choose the kids in the house. Which means it's going to affect your sales. As I noted in a video the other day, I went through a period where I had a grand total of 3 sales. That's with 15,000 items listed. That's not very good. So you need to figure out what you want to list. I believe that if you want sales, you're going to want to list a lot of lower priced items. And one of the big reasons is people are collectors. They like to buy something. They like to reward themselves with something. Whereas in the past, times were good, they were out and buying the $100 comic book. Now they're probably buying the $10 comic book. They're filling in the gaps in their collection. They're settling for a lower conditioned one. They're doing whatever they need to do so that they can treat themselves, but they can't necessarily buy the $100 item like they used to buy. So list lower priced items, especially if all you have currently listed are higher priced items. You definitely are going to want some lower priced items. You know those things over in the corner that you just never got around to listing because it just wasn't worth your time? Well, now it's worth your time. Find them, list them, keep the sales rolling. I'm in a little different boat. I've got 15,000 items, many of which are lower priced items. I'm actually taking the time and I'm listing higher priced items at this point. my thought is I've got the items already there to ride through a recession. I've got the lower priced items. We eventually will come out of a recession, at which time I'll be happy that I have the higher priced items. Another thing as well is, for me, I'm already paying fees on 15,000 items. I get 10,000 with the store, and then I'm paying a fee for the extra, nickel a piece for everything above that. So if I can lower my listings, I'm actually saving myself some money. So I'm in a special situation because I have enough items listed, enough low-priced items listed, that I should be able to sell stuff straight through. We'll get some better stuff listed. But you need to take a look and assess what your situation is and what product mix you currently have up, and what do you think will sell. Another question that's always been out there about eBay is it better to list a lot of one type of item, or is it better to list across a bunch of different items? And by that I mean you pick up a collection and it's got 100 comic books in it, it's got 100 postcards in it, it's got 100 Hot Wheels in it. There is one school of thought that a lot of people hold, and that is you list the 100 comic books. And the reasoning is that the comic book people will find it, and somebody will buy 3, 4, 5 comic books from you. Then the following week you list 100 postcards. Same thought. Postcard people will find it, they'll buy 3, 4, 5. The other school of thought is that you list 5 of each. You list 5 postcards, 5 comic books, 5 playbills, 5 sports cards, 5 whatevers, all the way across. You end up with the same number of items listed. You end up with 100 items listed, except now instead of all 100 of them being in one category, you've got 5 each in 20 different categories. With bad times coming, I think that's probably the way to go. And the reason why is because you've reached more eyeballs. When you've got the 100 comic books listed, there's a certain number of people that are looking at comic books. It's harder for people to find the postcards that you have listed. It's harder for them to find the Hot Wheels you have listed because you're not listing something new to bring them in. So if you list across 20 different categories, you've got 20 different sets of eyeballs that want to spend a little bit of money hitting your items. So I think that'll definitely help you because it's a much wider range. And if people aren't doing quite so well financially, they may not be in there buying 3, 4, 5 comic books anyway. They might only buy 1. So put 5 up, put 5 up the next week, 5 up the next week. You end up with the same number of items listed. It's just a completely different way of doing so. And I would say that that's the way to do right now, is across multiple categories. I think that's probably the best way to go. And then another quick thing going on over here is, especially here in New York State, people are working from home. You've got more time. Say you had a half an hour commute to work and a half an hour commute back from work, and you're working from home now. That's an hour that you're not spending, let alone, depending on what your job is, maybe you don't have to worry about taking a shower first thing in the morning. The gyms are closed up here. Maybe you're not running to the gym. Maybe you're not worried about getting up, getting dressed. Maybe you don't have to grab a breakfast before you go to work, but you can eat breakfast while you're working on the computer. That sort of thing. So you've got a lot of extra time right now, whether it's an extra hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that. You can make lunch for the kids on your lunch break, that sort of thing, as opposed to worrying about that. So you've got more time that you're able to spend by not commuting into work and not having all of that, not dealing with the traffic jams, et cetera, et cetera. Use that time to list items. It's a lot of extra time. Even if you usually spend an hour to and from work, spend half an hour of that time listing. You could probably pick up an extra 4, 5, 6 items listed. You do that every day for a couple of weeks, and suddenly you'll see the number of items you have listed just grow rapidly. And another thing, I was actually talking with a friend of mine, and he was talking about how things are slow, and how he was talking to people that had 200 items up, and they were lamenting that they only sold 2 items in a day. Think about it this way, that's a 1% sell-through. Mr. Magazine has 300,000 items or so. Can you imagine if he had a 1% sell-through? He'd be so happy. I've got 15,000 items. I've never come close to a 1% sell-through. So if you've got 200 items and you sell 2, you've got a great sell-through. But then the complaint is you can't live off of it. You're absolutely right. You cannot live off of it. However, you're not going to have 200 items up and sell 40 of them. That just doesn't generally happen. So what you need to do if you're sitting at the 200 item level or the 1,000 item level, you need to get more items up. The more items you have up, the more things you have to sell. Certainly, there's a store that can give you up to 10,000 items within the cost of the store. If you're anywhere close to that, work hard, get up to the 10,000 items. Do what you have to do. You've got a lot of extra time, and it's a good time to be growing your business. We will come out of the recession. We will come out of the slowdown. And at that point, on the other side, you'll be very, very happy. The main thing you need to do, though, is obviously keep your head above water until then. Stay healthy, stay safe, keep the bills paid, all that sort of thing. But think about what's going on with other people. And like I said, they're probably not going to be going out and spending hundreds of dollars in a comic book. But they want to buy something. Give them the $5, $10, $15 items to pick through. Don't worry about, don't worry that it's clogging up everything. You need to get items on, and you need to be able to make some sales because you've got bills too. Just keep your head up high. Things will get better. Heed my advice, and good luck to you.